We're in Washington, D.C. We're at the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. We're at the Jefferson Memorial in Washington, D.C. We're in Washington, D.C. Do you know who lives in those buildings behind me? We're in Washington, D.C. And this is where Forrest reunited with his Jenny.
It's Be Your Own Fan TV with your host, Tyler Taminia. Sponsored by M-Style Marketing.
We're at the Washington Nationals to meet with General Manager Mike Rizzo. Fans know him as the guy who signed Steven Strasburg. He's also the guy that Sports Illustrated said looked like Billy Joel. Let's go sit down with Washington's piano man. But let's get this one over with.
Okay.
Do you think you look like Billy Joel?
Do I think so? I think I look like a younger Billy, when Billy Joel was younger. Yeah, I guess I do. I mean, we got the gray mustache and the gray bald head, and so,
yeah, it's not a bad thing.
No,
so.
yeah. He married Christy Brinkley, so
yeah.
he was doing all right.
Yeah, that's for sure. From an area scout with the Chicago White Sox signing Frank Thomas to the general manager of the Nats, what a story. Did you ever think it would turn out like this?
I thought in the back of my mind that I could do more than just be a scout.
Yeah.
You know, GM was, it started becoming a thought in my mind when I started moving up the ladder a little bit, but even in the early days I thought of myself, you know, in that vein. I don't know if that was vanity or what, but it was, I did have an idea that that I was going to do it.
Let's dig in a little bit at some of your prospects. Strasburg, Storen, Morris, along with recent off-season trades. How promising does it look for the Washington fans for the near future?
Well, the farm system is moving forward. It's you know, we've had 3 drafts under the new ownership here. The '07 draft was rated #1 by Baseball America. We had 3 big major leaguers out of that draft already. You know, '08 we went a little different track. We signed a lot of drafted a lot of younger players and signed them. And the '09 draft with Storen and Strasburg and Coburnis, you know, we went. It was a good draft season to get more established players. So, you know, we think that we have a good core of farm system players. I think we're a long way from done. It's usually a 5 or 6 draft process before you can really have a good inventory of good players. I use that number because it took the Braves that long to really gather the farm system. It took us that long in Arizona when I was there to, you know, go from the 29th organization to the first organization. It took us 6 full drafts. So I think that's kind of the litmus test would be after 6 full drafts. After 3, the early returns are good. We put a lot of players in the major leagues in 3 drafts, so we're proud of that.
What makes Storen so attractive to you?
Well, Storen was the attractive part of him was that he's a pretty polished item, you know, out of the draft. We saw a guy that had 2+ pitches out of the draft and could command them and had the mound presence and the confidence level we thought to go relatively quickly through the minor leagues and be a contributor to us on a major league level quickly. So it was a player that we saw that could fill a void for us in the very, very near future, and it was a pretty sure bet that he's going to reach what we thought his potential was.
What do you think the fans' expectations are from their new general manager?
Brand of baseball here. You know, we're determined to clean up the way we play the games. You know, we led all of baseball last year in errors. That was one of the points that we knew we had to improve upon, because our pitchers had to get way too many outs during a 9-inning ball game. So we were giving up runs and giving up outs, and even when they weren't called errors, they were still misplays on defense. So that was first and foremost. We had to clean that up. We had to get a person that we thought that could patrol center field in a way that would protect the other two corner outfielders. So the first order of business was we traded for Nigel Morgan, a center fielder, and Sean Burnett, who's a terrific young relief pitcher for us. So, you know, we gave up a couple of good young players to get him, but Niger fit what we definitely were looking for. He could play terrific defense. He's a good offensive player, coming into his own actually offensively. He has a chance to be a terrific leadoff hitter. he's already proven he could steal 50 or 60 bases in a season, which we're going to expect of him this year. And not only that, he brought a new demeanor in the clubhouse. He's very demonstrative, very upbeat, very lively, and he conducts himself tremendously in the clubhouse. So we've tried to bring a new culture in the clubhouse also.
Yeah, I mean, you always need one of those guys hanging
Definitely.
around in the clubhouse.
Spark plug.
Obviously, your job is to develop a winning team. Last year, you guys averaged around 22,000. What are some of the things that fans can expect off the field to incent them to come to the ballpark?
We have a terrific fan experience here. The ballpark is second to none. It's a terrific place. Beautiful place with a lot of things to do. First and foremost, we got to put a better product on the field for the fans to come and watch. You could have all the amenities in the world of a ballpark. If you have a bad team, the fans just won't want to spend their money to come. We understand that, so that's first and foremost on our mind. But we've got a lot of things to do. We've got the red porch area where the younger crowd goes to have a few beers and a terrific view of the ballpark. There's not a bad seat in the house, literally. It's a terrific view from anywhere you go. It's a young, energetic crowd, and they're very baseball. Their baseball acumen is very good. They cheer at the right times. They understand what the game is. You move a player from second to third with nobody out, and they cheer for that. They understand the importance of that in the game. So I believe the fan base is here. We just need to prove to them that we're here to provide a winner and a winning atmosphere and a team that they can be proud of on and off the field. And I think that's the job of the general manager, and I think that's what's expected of me.
Yeah, I mean, I was here for that game last year, and I sat next to a very passionate season ticket holder. So
yeah,
I mean, they do, and the ballpark's great.
Yeah.
And I think that you guys are heading in the right direction with that. Let's talk a little bit about your dad, Phil Rizzo. I got a chance to meet a couple years back. He's in this book, Eye for Talent. You brought him on. That's got to be a fun experience for you, hiring your dad.
Yeah, it's great.
He's a great guy.
Yeah, he's brought on, one, because he's a great talent evaluator.
Yeah.
He's been through all the wars, and he's been scouting and evaluating players for 40 years and been very successful at it. He understands the big picture of the game on the field, and he's not afraid to be a dissenting voice, in the draft room. It's sometimes we get wrapped around bringing in a lot of people that agree with everything you say because you're the boss, and with him in here we could assure that that's not going to happen. He's going to give his opinion, and he always says, don't ask the question if you don't want the answer. So we kind of live by that motto in my house. And
he's my kind of guy.
Yeah,
I love it.
Definitely. And it's the second time actually he's worked for me. He worked for me for years with the Diamondbacks, and did a lot of great things for me over there. And when I got this job, he was the first person I thought of to be an advisor to me, and it worked out great. The learners were great about letting me hire him, and he's going to be a great asset to us here. Well,
you mentioned the draft room. Talk about what happens here in the war room that we're in.
Well, we're sitting in the war room, and the boards are blank right now. But come draft time, there'll be 1,500 or so names on this board, ranked from 1 to 1,500. We spend months and months evaluating the players, and then we come into this room and we hash it out, and it's weeks of 10 and 12 and 14-hour days putting together the master list of the draft order that we're gonna pick the players at. And there's some, you have 15 spirited baseball guys in here, and the discussions get loud and sometimes X-rated at times. Yeah. And at the end of the day, though, we all walk out as one in concert that we've got the right names on the board. And I always say that you're going into the draft season. It started already. Last weekend was the kickoff to the amateur season, and it all ends on in the first week in June with picking of the players. We have the first pick again in the draft, which is a very, very important time in the Nationals' history, and we plan to do the most with it.
Yeah, I hope you guys crush it this year. It'll be great. All right, so now it's time for a Be Your Own Fan moment.
Okay.
So why don't you give us your favorite childhood memory?
Favorite childhood memory would be my sister and I getting on the Addison bus, going about 6 blocks to Wrigley Field, and taking in a Cubs game. We used to do that a lot of times together. When 4 and 5 years old, 6 years old, she'd grab me by the hand. We'd get on the bus and we'd take in a Cubs game together. Wrigley Field was, it was like a holy place for us. We went there so many times, and just the travel to the game and being there at the game and going home. It was a great experience.
Yeah. What's your most proudest accomplishment?
The proudest accomplishment I've had probably in the game was probably finally getting the title of senior vice president and general manager. It was years of hard work, enjoyable work, but hard work. And I've been in the game 28 years now, and to finally strive for a job that and finally get it was very rewarding.
Yeah. What's something you like to press the do-over button on?
Do-over button. Countless number of draft choices. I'd like to.
I always like asking somebody that was a scout,
have the reverse button on that. If I only knew now what I thought I knew then. But there's not a lot of not a lot of things I would do differently. There's a few things that you look back and say, wow, that was a pretty stupid thing to do. But I think it makes me who I am, and the mistakes you make kind of allow you to grow into the person you are. And I'm happy with the guy I am now. So.
Yeah, for sure. What politician that's been to the stadium do you think could have been a ball player, and why?
Well, that's a terrific question, because we do, especially here in D.C. we get a lot of terrific politicians in here. But I'll tell you, I have to say the best pitch that I've ever seen throw was George Bush, Yankee Stadium, World Series 2001. When I was with the Diamondbacks, we were playing the Yankees. He stood up tall on the mound and thumbs up, took the ball, threw a perfect strike, and the place went crazy. So Bush has a good delivery. He throws strikes. So I would say he's got a chance to be he's probably the best political baseball player that I've seen.
What player at the Nationals has the nicest car?
Well, I'd have to go with probably Adam Dunn. He's got a beautiful purple Bentley that he comes cruising in on. Also, Willie Harris has a really cool car. I think it's a '67 Pontiac that he's jacked up, and it's got crazy tires on, and it's a convertible. And Ronnie Belliard had a black Rolls Royce.
Your favorite song?
My favorite song.
Is it Billy Joel?
I'm a Billy Joel fan, of course. Favorite song? That's a good question. I'm a big Billy Joel, Elton John fan, so it would have to be one of those.
And your favorite player growing up?
Favorite player growing up, I had a lot of them. My favorite baseball player, probably at the time, because I was in infield, was probably George Brett.
Okay. And what about nowadays?
Nowadays, my favorite player, I love watching Pujols play.
Yeah.
He's terrific, not only on the field, but off the field. He's even better.
We had a lot of fun here in the War Room at the Nats, but we've got to head back to New York City. So fans, stay tuned for our next webisode.